Hey, it's a pleasure to be here speaking with you all today. I'm going to start out by just playing a video that my wife put together, and I want to thank her for working on that. My name is Ben Toews. I'm running for State Senate in District 4. I've decided I can't just sit on the sidelines anymore and watch the attacks on our constitutional rights and freedoms. I want to preserve the small town values of our wonderful community for the next generation to enjoy. I am so grateful to have been born and raised right here in North Idaho, where I met my wife, am raising my 5 children, and built a successful local manufacturing company over 17 years. Now it is time for me to step up and give back to the place that made this beautiful life possible. I believe in standing for our community's conservative values that make our city a safe, friendly, and prosperous place to live. And while I don't completely align with the various factions, I see advertising such extreme negativity and sowing division between neighbors. I do believe that we can unify as a respectful community through open and honest communication and come up with creative solutions together. I believe a return to the standard of electing statesmen instead of bureaucrats to positions of authority is crucial. A true statesman listens to and represents the values of the voters instead of faraway lobbyists that represent the interests of big money and big government. Remember, here in Idaho, who most often represents you is determined in the May primary election. Every vote counts, so get out to vote May 17th and let's get to work raising the standard together. So I just want to give you a little bit more of my background. That's obviously a good overview of where I'm from. First of all, I want to make it clear that I am actually a minority, and I'm a Republican minority, so I don't expect any special treatment. But I am a native Idahoan. How many native Idahoans do we have here? See, you guys, that's a minority group, isn't it? So, a little bit more about, I grew up, like I said, here in North Idaho. I went to Lake City High School as the second graduating class there. After that, I went to North Idaho College, where I actually met my wife, Alicia. And while I was there, I started to really care about politics. I did a calculation, I think, in one of my classes, one of my political science classes, and I realized that the current president, Clinton, was elected by around 10% of the electorate. And that just blew me away. I realized there was such apathy in our society that people just weren't engaged. And so I started to study into that. I got my Associate of Arts degree in political science with a plan to pursue that. And then I started a family. And I realized really quickly that a political science degree isn't a great way to support a family. You guys know that? So I went to Gonzaga. I got my degree in international business and started a family business with my father-in-law. And we grew that business for 17 years. We did business internationally a lot. My degree was in international business. That was natural. We exported. We won awards for top exporter in our region. It was a wonderful experience. And in 2019, we actually sold that business. And I looked at 2020, and my wife and I were like, all right, 2020 vision. We're gonna get our vision for what's next, because it was a transition time in our lives. Well, I don't know about you, but 2020 didn't work out quite the way we planned. And so we realized really quickly that the 2020 vision that we were getting was actually clarity about what was going on in our society. It was 2020 vision. We could see a lot of the things came to light that were kind of, I'd say, below the surface for a long time, and it kind of woke us up. And so I started watching state politics a lot more closely. I realized really quickly that we had some issues that needed to be addressed, and then I started trying to figure out where I could make the most difference. So I watched our House, and in a lot of ways, our representatives, I think, match the values of our community pretty well. and then I watched the Senate, and I didn't see the same thing in the Senate overall. And I think it had a lot to do with leadership. No offense to any senators here today. But I started to realize this is what I watched. I watched us fail to rein in the governor with this emergency order that went on forever.
Still going on.
And to me, that was a problem. I'll tell you why it was a problem. And I can't tell you the exact result, but I can tell you that managing over $1 billion without the oversight of the legislature is a problem. And why is that a problem? It's because where money centralizes, power centralizes, and corruption centralizes. That's a problem. So, as I've gone into this campaign, recently I've found out that my opposition has said that I was an extremist, or at least her campaign is labeling me as an extremist. So I just want to tell you that I'm extremely passionate about our community. I'm extremely passionate about my family. I'm extremely passionate about the Christian values that drive my belief system. And that's what I want to take down to Boise. So this is what I would actually label as extreme. And these are some of the things that haven't made it through the Senate this last session. I think it's extreme that we're allowing our children to view pornography in our schools and libraries. That's extreme to me. I think it's extreme that one of my wife's friends, her elementary age child came home crying, and he told his mom, "I don't want to be white anymore, Mom," because of what his teacher was teaching him. That's extreme. That's extreme. I think it's extreme that we didn't take care of remote ballot boxes. That there's still remote ballot boxes that could set our election integrity in question and compromise us. That's extreme. So these are the things that I think are extreme. And if I go down to Boise, what I can tell you is I'm going to be the voice of reason. I'm going to be the one who reins these extreme positions in, and I'll do my very best to do that. I'll be able to make a difference for our community. I think I represent your values very, very well. And so with that, I'd like to open up for questions.
Any questions? You're perfect.
What can we do to help?
Good question.
Well, I can tell you that my opponent is supported by a lot of special interest groups. And so there's a financial need, certainly. There's a need, boots on the ground, door knocking, phone calling. Those are things that can really help me out a lot. And I want to go back and clarify something really quickly. I think that sometimes I'll talk about what's happening in our schools. I've had phone calls where I call people up and they're like, "Well, my daughter's an educator." And I'm like, "My mom is an educator. My grandma's an educator. I am 100% for educators. Just because there's some issues in our schools doesn't mean that I'm anti-education. I'm all for the education system." So, but as far as helping, I mean, your prayers mean a lot. When I walked around the room, I had multiple people say, "I'm praying for you," and that means a lot to me. But obviously, financial help is a huge blessing, along with just being boots on the ground and helping out with the campaign.
I'm just wondering what your opinion is about vaccine mandates.
So my opinion, I would say that a friend of mine has this saying, He says your talk talks and your walk walks, or your walk talks louder than your talk talks. So what you do is what really tells you what a person's position is, what they actually do. I am not anti-vaccine, just like I'm not anti-education. But I had natural immunity, I chose not to get vaccinated, and that cost me my job. So I was the director of international sales for the company that had purchased our company, and it turned out that they were very much on the same page as me, but I couldn't travel anywhere in the world. I mean, every time I booked a ticket, they would shut me down because of vaccine passports. And I had natural immunity. I saw no reason to take, even if it's a small risk, any reason to take the vaccine. So you can see, essentially, I told them I'd resign as soon as they didn't feel like I could contribute enough to the business. I'd been a business owner, so I tried to put myself in their shoes. So we mutually agreed that I resign in December. And I think it was God's timing because it kind of set me up to focus on this.
My recommendation for the state of Idaho is to get rid of the National Education Association and set up like DeSantis did in Florida, where you have the teachers, a separate state teachers union, and get rid of this other people that rule our libraries and our schools.
100%. 100%. How to do that is sometimes, it could be tricky, but I agree that would be ideal.
Thank you. What, if anything, can the state of Idaho do about illegal immigration?
What can we do about illegal immigration? That's a great question. I can tell you one of the first times I realized there was a major issue in the Republican Party, and one thing I didn't mention earlier is that I think that all of my positions are actually they're not extreme, they're very Republican. They're Republican positions. The answer to your question, I don't know the solution to that, but I can tell you that our party's stance is part of the problem. I went down to the state convention a few years ago, and it was my first time going to a state convention, and this resolution came up saying that we should stand up against illegal immigration. I think there was like some type of a penalty for people that hired illegal immigrants. And I was like, this is a slam dunk. This is gonna obviously be passed by this group. Well, guess what? It didn't. That's part of the problem, is that we don't have enough people that are willing to put their money aside, is what I would say, the financial benefits aside, and vote for the values instead of the finances.
And this will be our last question.
I am so thankful that you are running. Your opponent, Tara Malik, she doesn't even live here. She has a house here, but she is doing fundraising down in Boise for a District 4 position. I just wanted to say that.
Well, thank you all so much. It's been a pleasure to talk with you today.